Good evening, everyone. I'm Nancy Cox. Thank you for joining us on Evening Edition. Today, Governor Andy Beshear announced the highest number of reported cases of COVID-19 in a single day in Kentucky, 625. But he did note nearly half of those cases were found in the Green River Correctional Complex. And as you can tell from this chart, that's significantly higher than the past 2 weeks. Of course, as more people are being tested, we're going to see more positive cases. And so far, out of 61,013 tests, 5,822 have been positive. That's 9.5% of those tested have had the coronavirus. 275 people in the Commonwealth have died. Governor Beshear did address the large number of new cases reported at Green River Correctional Facility at his briefing today. LEX 18's Catherine Collins joins us live in Frankfort with the latest on the ongoing outbreak at that prison. When the Toyota plant reopens Monday, there will be new safety measures in place to try to stop any spread of the coronavirus. Today, TMMK President Susan Elkington gave us an exclusive tour and explained some of the changes. All workers, including herself, will be screened. Thermal imaging will be used to check temperatures. Workers must wear masks and socially distance as much as possible, whether in offices or on the assembly line. Elkington says the plant won't get back to regular production until late summer or early fall. Workers haven't built cars in 7 weeks, so she says employees will need time to freshen their skills, but most of all, safety is the priority. In addition to manufacturing businesses, other industries that have been given the green light to open on May 11th include vehicle dealerships and pet care. But with many other businesses across the Bluegrass still shuttered, some owners are wondering how much longer they can hold on. One gym owner in Clay County says it's now or never. He's not on the list of industries that can start operating Monday, according to the governor, but he's planning to open anyway. LEX 18's Kristen Edwards explains his decision. Healthcare workers all over are doing their best to stay isolated from high-risk loved ones in order to best protect them. For some, that's more difficult than others. But a startup fund is trying to give every healthcare worker who needs isolation a free place to stay. Evening Edition's Charlie Walter has that story. If you are a healthcare worker in Lexington looking for more information about this, or if you'd like to donate to this effort, we have a link on lex18.com. In other news this evening, investigators are still working to pinpoint what caused a massive gas line explosion in Fleming County Monday. It happened in a remote location near Hillsboro off Highway 1013. Now, this is video from our drone showing the aftermath of the blast. Thankfully, no one was hurt in the explosion. Before the blast, the Enbridge Natural Gas Company told people nearby that the company would be working on the pipeline. Coming up on Evening Edition, LEX 18 is helping answer your questions about the coronavirus pandemic, including where to find face masks. Up next in the Rebound Kentucky. Good evening, everyone. I'm Nancy Cox. Thank you for joining us tonight on Evening Edition. Governor Andy Beshear announced during his daily briefing that 11 more Kentuckians have died from the coronavirus, bringing that toll now to 294. But as far as new cases go, we appear to continue a plateau. As of today, there have been 6,129 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the state. 208 of those were reported today. And if you look to the left, that large yellow bar on the graphic shows that 81,391 people have been tested in the state. When you compare that to the total number of confirmed cases today, that breaks down to 7.5% being positive for COVID-19. And when you look at the past couple of weeks, it's a little lower than the previous week, but the percentages have stayed relatively steady. That spike you see, however, was from Tuesday. That was when the state reported more than 300 cases alone at the Green River Correctional Complex. If we continue on what appears to be a plateau, groups of 50 or fewer people will be given the go-ahead to socialize this summer. That's in the governor's plans for phase 3 of reopening the state starting in July. But tonight, the governor outlined specific dates for restaurants, gyms, and movie theaters. Evening Edition's Mike Valenti joins us outside the Capitol with details. Thank you, Mike. Wearing gloves and a face mask may seem like the obvious choice in the COVID-19 era, but for some in the Black community, concerns of racial profiling are tied to wearing them. Evening Edition's Sophia Millar is talking to community leaders about the issue. If you've been waiting to get outside, the city of Lexington is set to reopen many parks facilities next week. According to the mayor's office, tennis and pickleball courts will open on Monday. Nets will be installed on about half of the city's basketball courts, and benches will be removed where possible. Golf operations will also expand on May 11th with curbside sales of food, beverages, and merchandise, but only credit cards will be accepted. The Jacobson Park boat dock will open May 13th with 2- and 4-person pedal boats and 2-person kayaks available for rent. Things are slowly starting to get back to normal in China, but people there are still taking precautions. Evening Edition's Eleanor Buckley spoke to a Kentuckian who's been living in China and has traveled to the epicenter of the outbreak. Coming up on Evening Edition, answers to some of your questions about the pandemic, including CARES money and unemployment. Up next in the Rebound Kentucky. Hello, everyone. I'm Nancy Cox. Thanks for joining us on LEX 18 News. You've been watching the president's briefing on the COVID-19 crisis, and we will continue to stream that on lex18.com and our social media outlets so that you can continue to watch that if you choose. Today, the biggest headline coming from President Trump's briefing would be that he hopes to restart the economy by Easter. Now, that's coming up on April 12th, and many experts would say that's overly optimistic, if not unrealistic. But the president talked about how important that day is for so many Americans and how it represents hope. Well, he also mentioned that Congress is very close to a stimulus package, agreeing on something that may be signed as early as tomorrow. And the stock markets apparently like that, having their biggest day since 1933. The stock market is up about 11% today. Also, when it comes to industry, the president announced that Ford, GM, and 3M have been working now to produce respirators, ventilators, and face shields. Now, Governor Andy Beshear about an hour ago updated us on how things are going here in the Commonwealth. So let's go to Kevin Christopher back in the official studio for that. Kentucky courts were backlogged before the coronavirus hit, and that could get even worse. But for now, judges are trying to keep the essential cases moving forward. LEX 18's Lee Searcy explains. Families have been kept apart as many senior living communities are on lockdown all across the state. But as LEX 18's Kristen Edwards shows us, some families have found a way to visit without putting their loved ones at risk.